Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report for Stash Project. Today is November the 2nd, 2020. A couple of kit releases, one kit tease for an upcoming kit, and tomorrow, of course, here in the United States is Election Day. I'd just like to say that no matter who or what you'd like to vote for, go ahead and just go do it. I hear a lot of people always complaining that, like, oh, this small group of people control the country, and then they also say stupid stuff like my vote doesn't count. Well, if everybody voted, your vote would count, because then a small group of people wouldn't be voting for what controls the country. I personally think voting should be compulsory. Compulsory. Yeah. Meaning that it's mandatory. You have to go do it. I mean, it is your civic duty. Maybe we keep your tax returns if you don't go vote. Being that now you can vote by mail and everything else. I mean, you always could, but now it's like super easy to vote by mail. So, at any rate, without delving on the politics, like I said, don't care who you vote for, just go do it. I do want to take a minute here at the beginning, because we do have a sort of light content, to once again revisit the always popular concept of uh, kit costs. Um, I suppose because it's just that time of year again, or whatever the excuse might be. Uh, the topic of what kits cost. That's the time of the year again, because Ollie's has done another dump of kits. It almost seems like round two is possibly making kits directly for Ollie's at this point. What was noticed by a lot of people who are out, throwing buckets of money at a bunch of $8 model kits, is the fact that the model kits all have a run date of July, and they're kits that were done in the past, like 2-3 years ago, and it'd be very odd for them to reissue it in July and then by November be wholesaling them out to Ollie's. We also noticed that the Kenworth 123 and the International 4300 kits are back again this year. They were wholesaled out last Christmas, and the last Christmas kits were made in June 19th of 2019, and these ones are made July 1st of 2020. So if you had to wholesale a bunch of model truck kits because you couldn't sell them, why on God's green earth would you run another batch of them a year later? So it's a possibility, and the reason behind that, the whole comment, like, why would they sell something that they would then sell so cheap, is guaranteed purchase. Um, there's something like 500 or 600 Ollie stores at this point. Every Ollie store gets several cases of each of those things in this term, because like they're putting on display, a case and a half at a time on their end caps, and then they usually can restock at least once or twice. Those stores are getting 2 to 3 cases of each model kit per shipment. That's something along the lines of 1,800 cases of models, and that is basically a couple 3 whole production runs of this stuff. And if Ollie's is paying for those up front, and you guarantee that you are selling every single one of them, because you don't care whether Ollie's ever gets them off their shelves or not. You're just concerned about making money. It's for these tools that are years, 20, 30, 50 years old, this is the argument I tend to get into with people online, is that tooling is paid for. People like to drag up, like, well, round two had to buy it from Tomy. Well, that was 12 years ago. I'm pretty sure that they paid it off by now. I mean, I don't think they paid a whole heck of a lot for it. I don't think they were quite on the bargain basement Blitz Revell prices, but they didn't pay a lot for it, because at the point, Tomy didn't know what to do with it. Who else was going to buy it? One of the key reasons why Revell sold as cheap as it did was the other person or persons that who submitted a bid way back when, because that's going on 4 years ago now, didn't have the funding for it. They were like, oh yeah, we want to spend this much money on buying Revell, and they were like, okay, how are you planning to do that? Like, oh, we're gonna go get money. And Blitz was like, yo, we has money, and that's how that worked. And at the point, Habaco needed to sell things, because they had a $7.5 million judgment to Traxxas that they had to pay, which of course they had no money for. So Blitz got that, and Estes got sold, and so on and so forth. And if you're wondering why in the world we're rehashing that, because oh, there's Tin Hat Foil Brigade was out on the forums talking about how China was destroying molds again, and it's just like, oh my God, are we really re-legislating or relitigating rather the sale of Revell? Again, it is almost 4 years ago. It is three and a half, three. Let's see, almost 3.5 years ago, actually, because 4 years will be in August. But it's almost 4 years since or April. It'll almost be 4 years since Habaco declared bankruptcy and the whole downfall started. It's certainly more than 4 years ago since Habaco was in trouble. But at any rate, it's a long time ago. It's over. It's done. You can't rehash the facts. I don't know where people think they can get away with that. But at any rate, yeah. So the kit prices have come back up because oh hey, I go Ollie's. I'll buy this for $9. If they're making these things for Ollie's for $9, then why aren't we getting them for because Ollie's is going to buy 5,000 of those at whatever price Ollie's paying for them to still turn a profit at $9. And Revell's or round two, round two is going to do things like the 70.5 Camaro and the 72 and 74 Vegas and the 64 Oldsmobile and the 63 Nova wagon and all of the other projects that are requiring significant retools and whole new bodies and things like that. Like I saw comments saying like, you know, because the retail price of round two is going up again as they adjust their prices, they're going to price themselves out of the market. You know, like, well, the other alternative to pricing themselves out of the market, you tinfoil hat brigade people, is that they don't make enough money and they go out of business. Like everyone seems to think that Revell, Round Two, Mobius, Salvinos, whoever, Tamiya, Aoshima, all of them are these. First of all, is a cabal of like interconnected major corporations, like the, you know, it's just a new world order is what it is. And they're out to get you in your wallet. What are you going to do? Oh my God, they're coming for your funds, your limited income funds. Oh God. Oh. Seriously, I mean, Revell has what, 6 employees right now in the United States. Round two is like 20 people. Mobius was 6 or 8 people back when they were owned down in Florida. I don't know how many people they technically have dedicated to Mobius. Now that Pegasus owns it, you know, Salvino's is 2 people. You know, they have to charge what they have to charge in order to run their business. Once again, these people are not in business to be benevolent sisters of the poor and give you shit. Okay? They are there to run a business. And if the business dictates that it costs XYZ to make this model and make a profit and then sell it to the other people, the point I was making online was you guys are arguing about manufacturer suggested retail price. Are you on the prices right? Because that's the only time that number means anything. Like nobody pays manufacturer suggested retail price. And of course you get the, well, my hobby shop chart. Well, I'm sorry, your hobby shop is mismanaged and they have to gouge you like that. Because there's plenty of hobby shops that A, don't, B, online, and C, just the online vendors. Like online would be like eBay. Like you have their model roundups and your, you know, my local hobby shop sells online, and there's plenty of others that do them. Free time. So there's one in Georgia that is real popular. Free time and places like that. You don't have to pay retail. Now, granted, if you do mail order, you're paying for shipping, but you know the kits are available, and the other thing to consider is like, okay, so Hobby Lobby, you go in there and you got your 40% off coupon. Ooh, I got 40% off. I'm such a cool dude. Do you think Hobby Lobby's losing any money on that? Do you really? I mean, think about that. If they're selling it to you for 40% off the manufacturer suggested retail price, do you not understand that they're still making like 30 to 60% on what they actually paid for that kit? Did nobody watch Hobby Lobby? And again, not to be political, this is just a statement of fact. Did nobody just watch Hobby Lobby basically refuse to close back in March and April? They were like, oh, we're an essential business because people need their glitter and their craft supplies. And the government was like, yeah, no, you got to close. Or at least state governments, varied by state. We're like, no, I'm sorry, but scrapbooking is not an essential, and you have to close. And they refused to pay their employees, and there was a whole big thing that made Hobby Lobby look even worse than it already does on a normal day-to-day basis. Because, you know, those people, for all of their Christian values, want to make money, and if you think they're going to give away money to a bunch of middle-aged white dudes who want to save 40% on a model kit, yeah, that isn't happening. They're still making money. When they clearance model kits, they're still making money. So your issue isn't with Round 2, isn't with Revell. It's with whoever you're buying your model kits from. Because ultimately, those are the people that are charging you the price that you just cannot believe that things are costing. And within that is like, okay, so do you not want your local hobby shop to stay in business if they're not at the gouge end, but they're, hey, look, Round 2 model kits are going to go up to from $27.50 to $28, and you lose your absolute ever loving mind over 50 cents, and start throwing around fit around, and you're like, I can go to Ollie's and buy a kit for $9. Yeah, you can go to Ollie's and buy a kit for $9, and they are a grand total of like 6 kits at that $9, and 3 of them are old of those like promo style Corvettes that they made back in the 2010s and 2012s. Like, I guess if you want one, sure, but I the other day, and we'll do it on the other channel, received the other Metro 6R4 rally kit from Bell Kits, and put it online as like, what did I get today? And people are like, oh, really wish I could have one of those, but there's no way I can afford that. I'm like, where I purchased it from, upscale, was $60, $59.99. Shipping was free because it was over $50. Oh, there's no way in the world I want to pay $60 for a model kit. And then 3 days later, they've spent $200 at Ollie's on multiples of these. The truck kits sell for like $20 a piece or $30 a piece. They've got 18 truck kits, and they've got 5 each of the $8 kits, because people still haven't figured out that we all know Ollie's sells those kits for cheap, and we're not going to pay for them the regular price for them on eBay. Please stop hoarding those kits and thinking you're going to get rid of them later, because all you're going to do is end up hoarding those kits. We all know they're $9. We don't, one of the kits right now is a 75 Gremlin. People who wanted a 75 Gremlin bought those 3 years ago when they came out. There's not going to be a huge market for them because most hobby shops still have them on the shelves. You didn't need 7 of them. And that 7 of them is, well, it's $63, and look, you just bought a rally kit. It drives me to insanity when you tell me you can't afford something and then you go spend a whole pile of money on a whole bunch of stuff. Something to keep in mind: just because it's cheap doesn't mean you want it. And I would much rather buy the one thing that I do want than 10 things that I don't want, but I feel compelled to buy them because I remember when model kits were $9, and I buy model kits when they're $9. And guys, I mean, come on, seriously. I understand for some people that there's an income issue there. I totally get that. At the same time, I find that most of those people with income issues probably also have 500 model kits in their basement. They don't need to buy anymore. People who go online and scream and yell that they're not going to spend that much money on anything have usually already spent their money on everything, and they live in a place that looks like this, minus the fact that all the cool, foreign stuff. And, so you're not going to buy it. Okay, cool, great, bye. Every time I see it comes up, it drives me absolutely nuts. Like, is anyone happy about it? No. But something that I consider is the fact that when I came back into this hobby almost 15 years ago as an adult, I was paying $17 to $19 for Revell kits at the place I buy my domestic kits at, and now I'm paying somewhere between $20 and $22 for my Revell kits at the place I buy them at, which means basically the price of Revell kits has gone up about $4 in the last 15 years at my local hobby shop, who sells basically 40% off retail like Hobby Lobby does. Am I really that mad that the price has gone up $4 in 15 years? Don't come at me with the adjusted for inflation crap either, because the adjusted for inflation crap is what the price of something is, but that doesn't take into account external costs, right? How much does shipping go up? Because here, it's the thing I've said it on this channel 10 times already. I know I have. The people who drive the boat want more money. The people who load the boat want more money. The people who are driving the container from to the port and from the port want more money. The people that are at Round 2 Revell Mobius want more money. The people at your local hobby shop want more money. The people who design the kits want more money. The people who run the kits want more money. The people who actually design the kits want more. Like everybody wants more money, right? Like we all agree that we're not making enough money wherever we work, or if you're on a fixed income, that the fixed income amount that you are assigned by your government entity, whatever it happens to be, isn't enough money, and you wish it was more. We all want more money. However, we have this incredibly self-centered rudeness about it that we want more money, but no one else should get any more because the price of something goes up, and we just automatically assume that there's some sort of evil Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway behind it, and it's like, no, the five guys at Revell would like to make 50 cents an hour extra this year, and so the price of stuff has to go up. It's the hobby as a whole is big. The hobby is automotive is somewhat of a more niche corner because the IPMS stuff, there's more of it, but it's not a megalomaniacal corporation that's out to get you. It's just not coming to take all of your money. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. And there's plenty of places to get model kits you can afford: eBay, model contest, swap meets. Go on your Facebook local marketplace. But I, I don't understand. I mean, I do to an extent. Again, I understand some people. Look, I lived in an apartment with no electricity for 6 months. I was so broke. I get that, but I guess some people just need stuff to complain about. That's what it comes down to. And ultimately, if we're sitting here trying to cap prices artificially, you are stifling innovation. Because look, it's only been the last couple of 3 kits that Revell's done that they've digitally scanned anything. And other companies like Tamiya and Aoshima and Hasegawa have been digitally scanning stuff for over half a decade now. But it's only been the last 5 it's only been the 2 Foos kits and the upcoming Mustang. I think that maybe perhaps I've gotten conflicting reports of whether or not the new 68 69 Chevelle was digitally scanned or not, but for sure the Land Rover kit that Revell Germany did and the Jaguar kit that's going to be coming out, or Jaguar, I don't want to mispronounce anything. That kit, those were digitally scanned, but these Lamborghini Countach kits came out in 2011 and 2012, and well, after that, obviously, the Countachs were the first of the supercar lineup that Aoshima did. Those were scanned 8 years ago because Aoshima was like, hey, it's going to cost $40 for these kits, so that's what it costs. Not, well, if we charge more than $20 for a kit, these old folks are going to riot. Let them. You're stifling innovation. You're capping what people can make. You're literally telling people that their work is only worth so much money because you're not willing to pay more than this magic $20 line. Remember, it used to be a magic like $7 line, and then it was a magic like $15 line, and now it's a magic $20 line. It's still, no matter how much you've complained about it over the last 30 years, it's just kept going, just kept going. A lot of people in this hobby will sit here and tell you about the death of the hobby. Oh, death of the hobby's coming you any minute now. The hobby's just going to keel over dead. Boom, just like a COVID, just boom, dead all of a sudden. Nothing you can do about it. Well, you folks are trying to actively kill it. If it ends up dead, y'all did it. Ah! So, new tease from Nunu. This is a known kit, but we're getting the test shots for it for the first time. And that is going to be this upcoming 1986 Olympus Rally. Hey, look, it's a foreign car in the United States. Is that kind of something you guys want to buy? This represents the 3rd place finishing car at the Olympus Rally. It is an Audi Sport Quattro. Now, technically, so is the S1E2 craziness that they did earlier, which is the Group B car with all the wings and aero and things like that. This is technically still Group B. This is actually the last Group B race that would ever be run because it's the last race of the 1986 season. And at that point, Audi had put away that car and brought out the earlier Quattro, which still a short wheelbase car when you compare it to the earlier Audi Sport Quattros, which were regular wheelbase cars. But it's not quite so crazy. So this kit requires a brand new body because obviously it doesn't have any of the bells and whistles and molded on wings. It's still got some fender flares and things of that nature, but it's a much more sedate looking car. And then this parts runner, or this tree right here, I'll show you the parts runners. It's got the gravel wheels in it because the Olympus Rally is a gravel rally, and it also has like a new front bumper and a new rear wing, and there's some new bits and pieces there that I'm not quite sure what they look like. They look like a 144th airplane prop, actually, but I'm sure there's something there. There's a tow hook and a license plate back, and I think that might be an intercooler or something like that. But at any rate, those are going to be the new parts for this new kit. I've seen some people say December. Well, this was supposed to originally come out in July. Obviously, that didn't happen. And December, being this is a test shot, also not going to happen. But at least development is progressing with it, and that'll be a kit in 2021. So that'll take us to kit releases. We have 2 here domestically, and basically all this stuff is cleaning up the end of October. The last kit from round 2 for October was this, the 1/16th scale 1957 Bel Air convertible. So this is a 2-in-1 kit. There's some custom pieces in here. Obviously, you can build it factory stock as new decals. We're doing this retro 1977 box art as well, which, I'll give you, looks cool and things of that nature. But it is otherwise the same kit from the 1970s. And, it's been reissued a few times. I think the last time was in let's say the very early 1990s. Would have been in one of the early post MPC AMT Ertl merger boxes that happened around 92, 93 or so. And it's, I think, $40 is what the, reasonable hobby shops are selling this for. I'm sure people will complain about this too much because when they bought it, it was $8. But if you look online, the older issues of this kit, which will have probably bad decals and who knows what kind of condition they're in this many years later, are running about $60 to $100. So this is actually much, much cheaper than the eBay option. So there's that. We did get a Revell kit this week as well, and this will actually technically be a November release. And it was out on the 2nd of November. How about that? And that is this reissue of the Chevy S10 in the Street Sleeper turbocharged all-wheel drive version. And so we talked about this when this kit was announced, that no one seems to know where the naturally aspirated engine parts are for the S10. Possibly they also don't know where the Wave Runner parts are or any of the other custom parts that were done after that. Because they're not included in this kit, at least they haven't been indicated that they're included in this kit. This is basically the GMC Cyclone with the Chrome Runner out of the S10. Because the Chrome Runner has the bumpers, it has the grille, and it has the always incorrect 4-wheel drive wheels that came with a 2-wheel drive pickup truck. This does, technically speaking, represent the one-of-one Cyclone, test vehicle. I'll say almost a promo, but that's not the right word. It is the test mule for the Cyclone, which was basically, let's take this 4-wheel drive turbocharged drivetrain and cram it up underneath an S10 and see what happens. So technically, it does build a one-of-one, but yeah, otherwise you're kind of stuck here. If you were looking for a stock 2-wheel drive S10, you're not necessarily going to get it. Now, I'm not sure if you can build this without the all-wheel drive. Like if there's a way to build it without putting the transfer case on the back end of the transmission. Because certain parts of the Cyclone have always been in the S10. Like if you have an original S10 or any of their reissues, there've always been some of the 4-wheel drive parts or the all-wheel drive parts in it. But there's always been the ability to build it as a 2-wheel drive and the naturally aspirated V6, because all these kits have always had a 4.3 V6 in them. Obviously, there wasn't a 4-banger in the S10. I, myself, owned a 1990 S10, but that is the year before this, which had the more egg crate grill. And I think somebody's made a resin version of that grill at some point in time, but the wheels are still wrong. Mine was a S10 EL, which meant it had nothing, and vinyl seats and vinyl floor and everything. But at any rate, that kit is back out there. I'm sure you find something to do with it, but it's probably not exactly what you wanted when you heard the S10 was coming back. And that'll take us overseas to Japan for the rest of this. We got a couple of Hasegawas and a couple of Aoshimas. So the Hasegawa, we got this reissue, which is the 1/20th scale Lotus 79 in the 1978 German Grand Prix winning configuration. We talked about the history of this kit, where Hasegawa was going to do a 1/20th line of F1 cars, and then Tamiya did the same kit, and Hasegawa didn't really sell very many of these as a result, even though it's a perfectly serviceable kit. It's on par with the Tamiya kit. They were not cutting corners when they were doing these 1/20 scale kits, because they knew where the competition was at. But it just, if you're offered a Tamiya kit, you usually take it, and that unfortunately sort of doomed this, uh, you know, at release date. So you would need some extra decals here if you want to make the actual Johnny Player Special logo. I believe I didn't actually go look up this 78 German livery, but I'm guessing that there's a JPS component to this as well, where it should be on like the sides of the driver tub, would be my guess. 1978 Germany wouldn't be like, oh no, you can't advertise cigarettes here. So there is that kit out there for anyone who wants to sort of take a look at. It's probably a kit not too many people have actually in the United States have actually seen, because it was released way back before Hasegawa was doing anything resembling actively importing kits to the United States. And then the other Hasegawa kit is this, which wraps up their October, and it is the Subaru 360 C1 class race car. So this comes with a couple of pieces of resin, a couple of pieces of white metal. It always has. There's been a couple of these done. This car specifically replicates three different cars. There's the livery is pretty much the same. What you see on the box art with the big giant numbers on a yellow round roll on a blue background is standard through all three of them, because you will build the you can build the third place car, which is what the box shows, and then there is a, let's see, what is it, fifth place and sixth place car as well with different numbers. I believe the sixth place car here uses the kit hood rather than the resin hood, and the number therefore is in a little bit of a different place, covering the front grille opening a little bit. But otherwise, the kits are, they're all this sort of creamy off-white color. And interesting footnote, if for Japanese history, is the sixth place car was run by Mr. Watanabe himself, who would, of course, later famously have wheels named after him. Otherwise, this kit is pretty much the same race car kit it's been before. It does include decals for the headlight, little masking tape things over the headlight and stuff like that. You notice the car, when you look at the box right there, did have license plates on it, because, hey, drive them to the racetrack, drive them home afterwards. So there is that, and then it'll take us to to Aoshima after the Hasegawa. A couple of these are just straight reissues. First up, you have this reissue of the 72 Celica 1600 GT. The Hasegawa Celica is a much nicer kit, and then a reissue of this, the Lamborghini Aventador Roadster. So that kit is back out there in its new supercar boxing. And then last but not least, from Aoshima is their last kit for October as well, although there may be a couple of other reissues that come in the beginning of this month that were for their spot run stuff. But this is genuinely one of their new kits for the month, and it is the reissue of the Toyota Pro Box in its Japanese roadside assistance package. So the roof thing that's going on here is assemblage of parts from a few different places. The light bars and stuff like that are from the 1990s. When we talked about last week, where the reissue of that Japanese police car was all new parts, yeah, not so much here. And the roof thing itself is from that Toyota Hiace traffic investigations vehicle that was done last year. The only new piece to it is the very front of it, the upslope to the light bar. That piece is a brand new tool. Don't understand why. I mean, it must shape it slightly differently than the Hiace one does, but at any rate, that's the only new part in this kit, other than obviously it has new decals. Fun fact, if you want to put the chevron pattern on the front grille and rear bumper, because it also extends onto the rear bumper, you are masking and painting that yourself. There are no decals, white or red. I figured they would include one or the other. You'd paint the thing one color and you'd put the decals over it. Obviously, paint it white and put the red decals on would be the easiest way. But yeah, no, you're going to paint it white and then mask it off and paint it red if you want to build this. So, I mean, I guess it's one of those things where it's compound surfaces and might be a little hard to get decals to go over it. And so from an ease of build perspective, it might actually be easier to try to mask it and paint it. But yeah, there's that to look forward to if you wanted to build one of those. So anyway, guys, that wraps up this episode. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys are heading out. If you haven't already voted early or absentee or however your state declares your mail-in ballots, I hope you guys get out there and actually vote. Make your voices heard, no matter what your voice says, and we'll we'll see you for the Civil War next week. See you guys on the other side.